Fallout. It's an extremely popular, well-regarded series that I see people playing all the time, but I have somehow never played myself. So where better to start than the original? Probably New Vegas. That's the one that everybody talks about, and I'm guessing that this series, like 99.9% of games, are all standalone anyway. Well, it's too bad, because forget about Nevada, I'm going to California, baby! Besides, I think there's something interesting about a person who knows very little about the series playing it in the original release order. Maybe? I don't know. Whatever. On that topic, let's watch the intro to figure out a little bit about what's going on.
Wishing that I were near, then maybe.
War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth. Spain built an empire from its lust for gold and territory. Hitler shaped a battered Germany into an economic superpower. But war never changes. In the 21st century, war was still waged over the resources that could be acquired. Only this time, the spoils of war were also its weapons: petroleum and uranium. For these resources, China would invade Alaska, the US would annex Canada, and the European Commonwealth would dissolve into quarreling, bickering nation-states bent on controlling the last remaining resources on Earth. In 2077, the storm of World War had come again. In 2 brief hours, most of the planet was reduced to cinders. And from the ashes of nuclear devastation, a new civilization would struggle to arise. A few were able to reach the relative safety of the large underground vaults. Your family was part of that group that entered Vault 13. Imprisoned safely behind the large vault door, under a mountain of stone, a generation has lived without knowledge of the outside world. Life in the vault is about to change.
One of the pre-made characters, Natalia, seems interesting, and since I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when making a character, I'll just trust the game on this one. And I've already died in the second combat of the game.
The afterlife is
Okay, fine, I make Fancy Dan. He likes being smart, melee weapons, and gambling. I assume I just created the worst character of all time, but hey, it's a learning experience, right?
Ah, you're here. Good. We've got a problem. A big one. The controller chip for our water purification system has given up the ghost. Can't make another one, and the process is too complicated for a workaround system. Simply put, we're running out of drinking water. No water, no vault. This is crucial to our survival. And frankly, I think you're the only hope we have. You need to go find us another controller chip. We estimate we have 4 to 5 months before the vault runs out of water. We need that chip. We marked your map with the location of another vault. Not a bad place to start, I think. Look, just be safe, okay?
Now that is some good classic 90s CG. Get the water chip or everyone dies. Got it. Beginning is pretty standard RPG, which is to say fighting rats in a cave. A lot of them. After killing half of the Rattus genus, I see natural light for the first time ever, get over that amazement very quickly, and make a beeline for Vault 15. It's where the game is trying to have me go, right? The rats try desperately to stop me, but as they're the singular enemy in the game I can kill, they stand no chance. Come on, just click the green triangle. I struggled so much to understand this UI. Anyway, I nearly get killed by a giant radical scorpion just getting into the place. However, when I get inside the vault, well, at least I discovered the always run setting. That'll really speed up getting to my next death. One thing to note at this point is that I did not read the manual for this game. The manual is 121 pages, holds a lot of great tips on how to play the game, and maybe most importantly, really encourages save scumming. Like, really encourages it. No, seriously. It may seem like I'm dying a lot, and I am, but that is very much intentionally part of the game design here. Also, you get recipes in there too, so that's kind of neat, right? It might be worth changing my strategy if I'm just going to keep getting killed by every rat of the waste. After all, there was another place to go to on my way to Vault 15. Shady Sands, also known as Standard RPG Starting Town, is a pretty nice place. They do have some trouble with raiders and rad scorpions, but I think that's everyone around here, myself included. I start filling out my map with a couple new places, the Hub and Junktown. Get to see some cool two-headed cows and learn that every crop is now named mutated whatever. You know, like how there are space dollars in a sci-fi setting. Funny enough, they use bottle caps instead of mutant bucks here. Real missed opportunity to have a two-headed George Washington on a bill. I also steal some reading material. I don't know how to properly use any skills like outdoorsman or science, but higher number better, right? I also somehow managed to miss every notable NPC in the town, so it's already a great start. I can't say that I'm any better prepared after visiting Shady Sands, but I decided to check out Vault 15 again, and I've already been killed by larger than average insects. So how about that Junktown? They're also having trouble with gangs and raiders, but as long as they're a gang of rats and a group of raider rats, I could probably help. Then I get killed after talking to the local doctor. You may be seeing a theme with the direction of this video. Okay. They want me to go and do Vault 15 to start. I'm gonna go and do Vault 15. The giant mole rat isn't too bad when I know it's coming, and I'm able to get a much better idea of what's in the place. Specifically, that is an elevator shaft that I can climb down, if I had a rope. So it looks like my grand quest will have to be put on hold until I can find that. I also find a new area near Vault 15 to explore where... The Hub! You can probably guess by the name that the Hub is, in fact, the hub of the game. As such, it is a big old town. I wander around talking to various NPCs for a while, but the two things of note I discover are that the general store is selling ropes, and the water merchants. The water merchants travel the wastes, providing water to various settlements, and while they don't have a water chip themselves, they tell me that an area called Necropolis may have one. Now this is some promising information. Of course, I'm still going to go do Vault 15 first, but it couldn't hurt to check out Okay, maybe save this for later. At least I discovered targeted hits at this point to be able to hit individual body parts. Remember, I didn't read the manual. This is going poorly. So poorly, in fact, that I decided to reload all the way back from the beginning and start creating an actual plan for how to progress. Seems like Shady Sands and Junktown are the best starting points. I can already see at least one quest in each that I might be able to do something about. I'm still a bit hesitant to try fighting the Radical Scorpions, so I go for Junktown first. Talking to the leader, Killian Darkwater. What a name. I get some more info on the town, and I get to see what he's selling. He is also the general store manager. But then... Now here is what I was looking for. I can definitely fight an assassin if I have 10 other guys backing me up. I get quite a bit of experience, but more importantly, I steal the assassin's weapon and immediately sell it to the guy who was just grievously injured by this very gun. 1,000 bottle caps, baby. That'll buy a rope and a half. The follow-up quest to this one has me wiretapping the local casino boss to prove they're the one that sent the assassin, but...
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? This'll tear his arms off.
Yeah, let's go get that rope. I also grab a sledgehammer so I can make endless Peter Gabriel references, and I did also build strength and melee weapons at the start of this, so it's just a good pickup. During the lengthy walk back to Vault 15, a random encounter came up with a lone, non-hostile raider. I'm not getting into a fight with a guy who is certainly carrying a gun, so, well, I steal the gun from him. It's a Desert Eagle and I need more firepower, alright? Getting greedy and trying to steal the knife doesn't go as well, so it looks like I'm going to be his sledgehammer. Wow, look at that. Anyway, despite getting knocked to the floor, he just gets up and leaves. Fair enough, I do, and have already done the same. At Vault 15, I start Gallaghering my way through the local rat population and finally get to use my rope. Next floor has my first piece of armor, a cool leather jacket. Sure, I need all the help I can get, and it gives me more of that Mad Max Apocalypse look. It's a good thing that I bought more ropes, because there is also a third underground level. A third underground level with Boss Rat. I saved my Desert Eagle and all of my health potions exactly for this situation. Okay, they're not health potions, they're only red liquids that you ingest to magically heal your wounds. It's just that it's a hypodermic needle instead of drinking it, because that's more futuristic. Also, they're called the stimulation packages, or stim packs, because that's more... well, it's more cyberpunk, really. Time to stim pack and jack all the corpo space bucks. You know, that sort of thing. Long story short, the water chip is buried under rubble, and this was all a waste of time. Or it would have been a waste of time had I not gotten this totally badass jacket out of it. Wandering around the hub to find any other potential locations of a water chip, I know I'm definitely going to be going to Necropolis, but if I do that I'll die, so surely there must be something else. I find another section of town that I didn't know existed. Not much of interest here aside from one new NPC, Harold. Harold, like the denizens of Necropolis, is a ghoul, which is like a zombie, but more post-apocalyptic. He was an original Vault denizen during the war and has been exploring all over the wasteland since. During his time as a trader, he started running up against more and more mutants, eventually leading him to try and find out where they were all coming from. Along with a group of other people, headed by a Richard Gray, they found some kind of military factory in the northwest. A crane crashed into them, sending Gray into an acid bath, and left Harold mysteriously waking up in the desert. Needless to say, this story feels very portentous. Unfortunately, despite hearing about the factory, it's not marked on the map, so I'm not going to be exploring that area just yet. There's also a church around here. Despite talking to the person in charge of the Children of the Cathedral, I learn almost nothing about them. Okay, let's quit wasting time and just go to Necropolis. As it turns out, the ghouls in the area are extremely weak against my new sledgehammer. It forces them to call my name whenever they get hit, and also throws them so far back that they waste their entire turn walking back up to me. While I had a good time finally being able to fight without losing 90% of my health in each encounter, this doesn't really help me make any progress in finding a water chip. Eventually, though, my character remarks that there's a lot of foot traffic leading to the manhole in the area. That's right, obligatory sewer portion of the game. Thankfully, there's some friendly people living down here. The sewer denizens let me know about the guy running Necropolis, Set, and his violent, oafish tendencies. They do, indeed, also have a water chip around here. Hooray! Finally getting somewhere. The game really wants me to say that I'm just going to steal it and leave everyone here to die, but I push through the dialogue tree and say that I'll fix a water pump they have in the city before taking the chip so that everyone wins. The game really likes giving you end conversation and start fight answers, but doing this peacefully gives me much better rewards. Moving forward through the sewer, I find a manhole that leads up to a secret room lined with explosives behind the man himself, Set. I don't get it either. What is the setup? What is this room? Anyway, against all odds, Set is still mostly friendly to me despite this. There seem to be mutants over by the watershed that I was going to anyway, and Set agrees to reward me if I can get rid of them. Aside from that, Set despises everything about me, so I choose not to bother him any longer. A short time later, I emerge from the depths farther into town, and right next to the watershed, where, orcs are hanging out. Seems like the developers had some assets left over from the Dungeons & Dragons game still lying around. Oh, but they're not actually orcs. In this post-apocalyptic wasteland, they have a much more original name. Mutants. Nah, just kidding. That would be silly. They're actually called super mutants. It, wouldn't surprise me if these guys didn't appear in later games, especially considering what happens later in the story. Regardless, maybe I can deal with this peacefully.
Harry think he beat your head now.
Harry beat my head in. More specifically, Harry has good armor, a laser gun, and is very strong even without the gun, as well as Jerry, Terry, Larry, Gary, and Sally to back him up. This might take some preparation. One thing I can do at the moment is get the parts to fix the pump. Under the watershed, there's a large group of rats, but as those are the one enemy that I can effectively fight aside from ghouls, they go down quick. I grab what, let's be honest, just looks like a pile of junk and report my findings back to the sewer crew. This gets me 3 repair books. Move over, science, I'm a repair guy now. Which is good, because repair gets used roughly 10 times more often than science in this run. Still, the real problem is I can't fight the superb mutants. And, well, okay, I'll level with you here. Although I specialized in this at the start of the game, I didn't want to go too far into it because the strategy can be completely worthless or totally busted depending on the game. However, I'm desperate. I got almost no equipment, my best weapon is a big hunk of metal on a stick, and I'm getting obliterated by every enemy that isn't a rat. So, I've got to do it. It's time to gamble, which, as expected, is completely busted. Well, that takes care of money for the game. Honestly, though, this doesn't make too much of a difference in the long run, because I find out pretty quick that as soon as you can take down a few raiders, the equipment that they have will sell for more money than you'll ever need. Cash is really only hard to get at the start of the game. After one big shopping spree, I now have metal armor, a handful of super stimulation packages, and more confidence than I probably should have. Harry? Okay, he still beats my head in a few times, but my cool new armor gives good laser weapon resistance for some reason, and eventually I'm able to break both his arms with a couple lucky hits to prevent him from just punching me to death. The other super mutants are still a threat, but as they don't have the equipment Harry does, they go down much easier. I sneak past the remaining mutants and get the pump fixed rather trivially. They do see me as I'm trying to leave, though, and since one of them has a flamethrower, I decide to run. I then go back to the sewer guys for my well-deserved reward. Oh, right, the water chip. Yeah, so there's more to the watershed than just the pump, and with the remaining mutants still far away searching for me, I'm able to get back into the building quickly. Important to note here is that I loot the bookcases up in front of the watershed for an assault rifle. Much like the Desert Eagle, this will be great for handling big boys. Although, like the Deagle, I lack the skills to use it at anything but very close range. In the room back, there is a manhole leading down to a vault! Well, yeah, of course there's a vault here. Why else would Necropolis have a water chip? There are also a lot of glowing ghouls around, but aside from the 2 guarding the vault, they're mostly not interested in me, and I run right through to the water purification computer. Finally! Water chip in hand, I head back to Vault 13. Or I would, but I really wanted to finish off Harry to get the sweet laser weapon he was using. Huh. I didn't realize I could just go back into Vault 13. And more than that, there's also a lot of things to see and people to talk to, but if they wanted me to hang around in here, they wouldn't have started the game kicking me out. Whatever, I'm just gonna get the chip turned in.
It's working, and it looks like we have a winner! Oh, you've saved us. You've done it. The mutant population is far greater than could be expected by natural growth or mutations. This leads me to believe in... I don't really understand it, but it looks like someone's generating new mutants. And at a
Yeah, of course. Between talking to Harold and the fact that I haven't even filled out half the locations on the map, it was pretty obvious. Feeling somewhat aimless at this point, especially with my current gun skills, I go back to finish off the remaining super mutants in Necropolis because... why not? I just picked up that assault rifle and I wanted to see it in action. This gets me the Flamer one of the mutants was carrying. A big old flamethrower that can one-shot me in armor and everything else around me, even without getting a critical? Yep, I think I finally have a firearm type to specialize in. Returning to set to get my reward for taking out the mutants, I'm treated to having to follow the slowest NPC since the start of Dragon's Dogma. Wow, amazing reward! Then, what do I even do now? Someone in the hub wants me to get rid of some kind of death claw? Sure, it's either this or wander around the northwest of the map looking for a factory and probably getting killed. Harold tells me a somewhat worrying tale about the monster, but that doesn't stop his neighbor from showing me where it is. Well, there you go. Some kind of human-sized demon creature. Here's a better look at it from the manual. Even with the best equipment money can buy and blasting the thing with a huge flamethrower half a dozen times, I still barely survived the encounter. No surprise that the super mutant I found on the ground didn't survive. So the mutants have been attacking caravans around the wasteland, and much like Harold said, they're all coming from the northwest. The area is still not marked on my map, and I'm certainly not prepared for it either way. At this point, I'm just talking to everybody to see if they have something to do. I figure out that talking to the local traders about jobs will have them inform me of the routes they take to the Brotherhood of Steel and the Los Angeles Boneyard. Let's check out that Brotherhood, because the Boneyard sounds scary. These guys are a bunch of nerds. They've got a very RPG system of doing things where people are paladins and knights and scribes. And just look at this ridiculous map when you first get into the area. However, they do have some real impressive equipment. Yeah, preservation of technology. What is that armor you're wearing and how do I get it? Well, looks like I have no choice. I'm joining the Brotherhood. To do this, I need to go get some cool technology from an extremely radioactive place called The Glow. Yes, the game is called Fallout, but that doesn't mean that I'm a fan of irradiating myself. Still, this seems like the best way to get good equipment right now, so I grab some radiation medicine from the hub and head on down. It's a big pit in the ground. I soak up a lot of radiation before realizing that I need to tie a rope to the metal support beam leading down into the hole. That's what save scumming is for, kids. So, radiation. It seemingly does little in game terms, but then again, I may have avoided the worst of it by sprinting through the facility to grab the holotape as soon as possible. Hey, that really wasn't too bad at all. I'll come back and explore the rest of this later when I get the cool armor and some more anti-radiation supplies. Back on the other side of California, the Brotherhood welcomes me into their technology hideout for cool kids. A lot of neat stuff in here, but after wandering about, I find what I'm searching for, the Weapon and Armor Repair Room. Kyle here is willing to give me a set of power armor if I get some kind of systolic motivator MacGuffin. Two people got him, Michael, the head of the supply room, and Head Paladin Rhombus, totally badass super paladin guy who never leaves his room. Michael refuses, and no amount of dialogue tree navigation will get me to convince him otherwise. Rhombus, on the other hand, is fiercely protective of his precious systolic motivators. I spend a long time trying to sneak into his room or talk him out of one, but nothing works. Fine, I'll go talk to other people around here. As Rhombus recommended, the main library over on floor 3 gives me some more lore about the wasteland. Things like the Brotherhood originally being part of the US Army stationed in California that were able to regroup after the war. The super mutants are apparently sterile, but I'm gonna need a faster way to deal with them beyond live long enough. Still, though, that does explain why when I tried to hit Harry earlier in the groin, he just said, "I do not share the same weakness as you, human." Oh yeah, and I can scan all the holotapes that I've been getting for additional files. They also tell you that in the manual, which I really should have read. Just get out of your room for 5 seconds! If I'm not going to be able to get my powerful armor, do at least get a standard Brotherhood outfit from Michael. It's an upgrade, but you know it's not as good as the mech suit. Talk with Elder Maxon on the 4th floor to let him know about the mutant problem, and I get the best quest reward offered so far. Take that, Set! The Ripper is some kind of battery-powered chainsaw knife. As much as I like my sledgehammer, this is the new stuff. While the Brotherhood was great for upgrading my character, there is another area that opened up, the Los Angeles Boneyard. Entering the city lands me straight in Addytown? A place not nearly as bad as Boneyard would suggest. There's certainly some kind of reference with the name that I do not understand. Asking around, it seems like the residents make their living selling ammo to the rest of the wasteland. There was some sort of quest to fix their irrigation that I forgot to follow up on. Whoops. The mayor of the town wants me to get revenge for their son, but I also never finished this one due to my pacifistic not wanting to murder every NPC in a town to complete a minor quest tendency. And I also forgot to follow up on this one. One of the many things in the game I didn't think about at the time, but became very obvious when I started looking through the recordings. Up north, the local gang tells me that they have a Deathclaw problem in town. Oh, good. Then again, I got better equipment, more levels, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I can do something about that. Or, with 3 Deathclaws wandering around, maybe I'll just run past all of them and see what's on the other side first. It's a giant moat of green goo? This is just silly, but I'm also not going to take my chances crossing it. It's funny, up until this point, Fallout has largely avoided the radioactive green slime cliche. Even with the glow, despite its name, it had a radioactive atmosphere rather than looking like a 90s Nickelodeon game show. I think this might be the first time that, "Come on, let me in," actually worked. The Gunrunners, true to their name, have a wide assortment of weapons. Since I'm now building for heavy weapons, this is a great place to utilize my nigh infinite money and get a minigun. The rest of the town No, as I expected, my better equipment did not allow me to fight multiple Deathclaws at once. I ended up exploiting the loading zones to get just far enough away from the murder machines to run past, only to go back and try fighting them again for far, far too long. I don't know why. I guess I really wanted to prove that I could fight them for some reason. After giving my save and load buttons a good workout, I barely managed to kill one of them. Just look at that HP. Taking a break to go explore the last area of the Boneyard, I discover the Followers of the Apocalypse hanging around in the local library. This peaceful group looks to educate everyone about the cause of the apocalypse in hopes to prevent anything like it from happening again. They don't have any quests, or I didn't try hard enough to find them, which is kind of a theme in the Boneyard. So this is the one time they'll be appearing. The one thing that I did get from the Followers is the location of the cathedral, where the children of the cathedral hang out. Look at this dumb 1984 Apple commercial setup they have. I didn't get much information back in the hub, but maybe things will be different at their home base. Things weren't different. They're obviously evil, I mean, come on. But no amount of dialogue treeing seems to get me any closer to Morpheus, the head of the church, or the Master, their mysterious leader. I'm getting desperate. One thing I know is that there's a military factory up in the northwest, and it doesn't seem like I'm going to get any more specific directions than that. The exploration does eventually pay off, and thanks to the magic of loading an older save file, I don't end up spending 3 in-game months wandering around the map. So we got the military base. The Nightkin super mutants guarding the entrance are well equipped, but so am I. Whoa! Huh. Entering the base doesn't go nearly as well. I could just keep reloading until I get lucky and don't immediately die to the welcoming party, but this is also a great time to report my findings back to the Brotherhood in case they want to give me more weapons and armor. While running back to the base, I find some kind of special random encounter on the world map where a dude got stepped on by Godzilla. Yep. The real prize is the Stealth Boy item they had on them before getting smushed. This item will turn me invisible, which means I finally have some way to get that systolic motivator. Or so I think. Yes, the love Rhombus has for his motivators transcends literal invisibility, and I'm still not able to get it. However, at some point I must have loaded back to a time before I talked to Michael, because begging him one more time for the systolic motivator has him actually handed over. I'm certainly not going to complain. Oh yes, now this is what I'm talking about. I may not have finished the game yet, but I have now completed the most important quest. By the way, these death claws respawn, so doing this was pointless. With the armor giving me 40% rad resistance and a couple handfuls of the anti-radiation drug Rad X that I buy from Cathedral, at least they were good for something, I'm now completely immune to radiation. So this is a great opportunity to go back to the Glow and explore the rest of the place. There are a lot of good items in the deeper level of the Glow, but the real goal is to get the Forced Evolution Virus Experimentation holotape on the 5th level. The super mutants aren't just some random byproduct of the radiation from the war, but an attempt by the government to make people completely immune to disease that also happened to turn them into orcs. And the source of the virus is the Mariposa military base, which I already found at this point. Ah well, I still got a lot of stuff and experience fighting all the robots in here. There's nothing left to do now except bring the fight to the super mutants at the base. I meet up with the 3 Brotherhood paladins they sent along, only to find out that they don't come into the base with you. Whatever, have you seen my character at this point? And this next part is kind of embarrassing. I could not figure out how to get past the force field doors in the base. Eventually I resorted to looking at a guide online, only to realize that you can just walk through the red ones, though you do take some damage. Yeah. Yep. Well, I also found out in the guide that you can blow up the doors with dynamite and configure a radio to turn off some of the yellow doors, but I really just needed to walk through them. I fight my way through the many super mutants in the base until I get to floor 3, where a super mutant stops me with the most powerful weapon of all, a dialogue screen that I wasn't expecting. I accidentally choose to give myself up, which puts me face to face with the Super Mutant Army Lieutenant. The Lieutenant wants me to give up the location of my vault because the FEV isn't super effective unless it's used on people that have relatively little radiation exposure. That means that only prime normals from the vaults are good candidates to become part of the army. I, of course, don't give him the location, so he punches me to death. The lieutenant is a tough character, but I have a secret weapon. Running away when he tries to punch me. Turns out that you don't actually get into a fight when he tries punching you, so I'm able to get into a much better position and start blasting him with my flamethrower. It was not easy, and I died a lot, but I managed to take him down. So, now what? I wander around the floor and fix up a robot? Said robot, in an attempt to continue cleaning, blows up a door leading to the control room of the facility. Sure. The control room is filled with children of the Cathedral members maintaining the vats of FEV. Wait, you're telling me that the children of the Cathedral were actually evil the entire time and working with the Supermans? Yeah, okay. Having already killed the lieutenant, they don't put up a fight and allow me to freely mess with computers to start the self-destruct sequence that's included at every military base. Woo! That does it, baby! World saved! Oh yeah, I also got an audio diary from the ridiculous self-destruct computer recorded by Richard Gray. Richard, obviously, did not die when knocked into the vat of acid, as Harold said, and instead turned into some kind of super intelligent super monster. This is relevant as the Vault Overseer gives me a hearty congratulations for taking care of the mutants, but sends me right back out to deal with their mysterious leader, who is Richard Grey. Come on, you get it. As the cathedral is the one place where I still haven't done anything, I head on down. But first, I get another special encounter on the world map. Yep, Abliums. I can't say that I'm surprised this is in the game. From the wreckage, I get a framed picture of Elvis as definitive proof that this game was made in the 90s, and a special laser pistol. I'm not building for small guns, but this is amazingly powerful, so I need to take it with me. Back at the cathedral, I really tried to not just fight my way through to the Master with a set of cathedral robes that I picked up from the military base, but I only get as far as stealing the key to the back of the church. Morpheus on the top floor almost immediately attacks me with his crew of invisible stealth boy super mutants. I come out of the fight just fine, but Morpheus is not the Master, so I have to keep looking around. I'm able to get into the church basement, and because I've played a video game before, I discover a secret door in the back. There are some real weird Master's pet mutants hanging around, but nothing my current equipment can't take care of. Following the cave system, I'm led to the heart of the Master's evil operation, a really gross vault. Ew, it's covered with, flesh bits and gunk. On the second floor, I find out about the psychic powers that the Master is bestowing upon, I don't know, the next generation of super mutant candidates or something. Hey, we got zombies, mutants, aliens. It was just a matter of time before psychic powers showed up. It seems like there should be something more I can do here, but I couldn't find anything else and move on. In the command center of the vault, the cathedral members just let me through, thanks guys, to meet with the big gooey flesh pile himself, the Master.
You think you can destroy me? Destroy?
Yes, I do. I have a really powerful alien gun just for this exact moment. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Oh wait, there's another self-destruct. I should have seen that coming. It's a standard system installed in every cathedral.
The death of the Master was the first major step towards ending his mad dream of conquest and enforced peace. But it is the destruction of the vats that neutralizes the mutant threat. Without the ability to create more mutants and enforce their harsh brand of justice, the mutant armies flee to the east, beyond the no man's land. The ghouls of Necropolis learn how to maintain the repaired water pump, and eventually rediscover many lost secrets of engineering. They form a business, selling this technology to other towns. The mutant armies, led into battle by the fierce super mutants, destroy the followers of the apocalypse. Barely human carrion feeders pick over the followers' remains. The mutant army marches as far north as Shady Sands, razing the small town to the ground. Junktown becomes the new boom town under the careful and profitable guidance of Don Gizmo. He profits the most and continues to increase the size of his casino and the scope of his power until he chokes to death while eating some iguana on a stick. The Brotherhood of Steel helps the other human outposts drive the mutant armies away with minimal loss of life on both sides of the conflict. The advanced technology of the Brotherhood is slowly reintroduced into New California with little disruption or chaos. The Brotherhood wisely remains out of the power structure, and becomes a major research and development house. The hub disperses before the might of the mutant army and will never recover. Thanks to your persistence, the Raiders are destroyed as an effective fighting force and disband. None of the Raider survivors are ever heard from again. Your involvement with the various places and people of the wasteland is well documented by future historians. Only a single question remained unanswered. What happened to you?
You've done it. That's wonderful, amazing. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, what you've endured. There's no way the people of the Vault can ever thank you enough for what you've done. You've saved all our lives. Who knows? Maybe even saved the human race. Yes. That makes the rest of this even harder. Everyone will want to talk to you. Every youngster will look up to you and want to emulate you. And then what? They'll want to leave. What happens to the Vault if we lose the best of a generation? What if we are the only safe place in the world? You just gave us back all these lives. I can't take the chance of losing them. I've made a lot of tough decisions since I took this position, but none of them harder than this one. You saved us, but you'll kill us. I'm sorry. You're a hero, and you have to leave.
Maybe you'll think of me when you are all alone. Maybe the one who is waiting.
That's a dumb ending. I like this game.